Welcome to the most ill-conceived podcast around, the Business Is Bullshit podcast. I'm James Hornick, and joining me are two men who do not like nice things, Jared Gibson, John Sarakas.
Good to be here. That's not necessarily true. Yeah, I favor crap.
It's a lead-in, you know. We'll get right into it. So, episode 32, luxury goods are bullshit. That's the joke here, and this is something John feels really passionately about. He wanted to kick off. My contribution was I could do a recap of the TV show Your Friends and Neighbors. I thought it was great satire. But John, why don't you just where were you going with this, and why do expensive things piss you off so much?
So I think all right. So I love nice things, you know, whether it's German cars or like Swiss watches. Like who doesn't love Italian leather, right? But there's materialistic, and then there's just getting ripped off based on being duped. In the luxury world. So I guess the weird thing for me, especially with a career in marketing, is knowing like when I'm getting tricked, but still, being feeling comfortable about making those purchases. And I just think entirely too many people don't understand like what the luxury world looks like, and they think they're actually buying something that's high quality when it's not. They're just literally buying a logo, and it's a bunch of bullshit. And in some cases, you think you're buying 3 luxury goods, and you're actually writing a check to the exact same country because you don't realize a conglomerate owns all those brands.
Yeah. Give us some examples. Give us some hard. Go ahead, Jared.
So I think, all right, so if John. Is it me, Jared?
I thought Jared was going to say something,
important.
and
you're
was
more
just
important.
Like,
I was, but it was just going to be mumbling.
Jared, now hosting his own podcast, realized that John needed to elaborate more and give us more concrete examples, and he was interjecting right there. So good work, Jared. John, keep going.
Narrating it. Okay, so for instance, like let's say that you you buy a Gucci bag, and then you get a Saint Laurent jacket, and then you get some Balenciaga like sneakers, right? Like I was saying earlier, like all of those are essentially to the same. You're writing a check to the same company if you're buying those, right? So like LVMH, they are the world's largest conglomerate, right? So everything from Givenchy, like Fendi, Celine, even Tiffany, Bulgari, Tag Heuer, Sephora, like all of that is owned by one company, including Louis Vuitton, of course, right? But we're convinced that these are all these like individual separate brands. Not that there's like some of these brands have like a lot of high quality. Some of these have like some really gnarly fashion houses, and there's some really good stuff that's behind them. But on the flip side, I think with people not actually knowing like the business mechanics behind it, you're getting tricked. Or you have, the other one. Number 2 conglomerate is Kering, which they have Gucci, they have Saint Laurent, they have Balenciaga, Alexander McQueen, all these major brands. It's one company that controls all that. And there's Richemont. They own, bear with me here, like IWC watches, which I have a couple IWC watches. They're nice ones. Vacheron and Constantine. Those are also great watches. Like I said, I'm a sucker, right? And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because Are
you venting? Are you venting?
I know so much about this world, and
Jesus
I didn't realize
Christ,
how deep his knowledge was.
I don't know if I'm so much as venting. It's just I've always been, I like nice shit. I'm guilty of it, man.
This is We'll put you on the clock here, John. This will be a nice session for you just to kind of let it out, man. Go.
But here's the thing. There are other brands, right? So a lot of these won't hold as much value. Some of them will, especially like in the watches, where you're actually making an investment into something that's quality that will actually appreciate or hold value, right? But there are other brands like Hermes, which they got some games and stuff I'm sure we'll get into in a minute. Those will hold value. That's actually an independent brand. Rolex is actually still an independent brand. A lot of people don't know that's actually a non-profit. They produce a ton of watches. They have really good craftsmen. I'm not the biggest Rolex fan, but those actually hold their brand as well. So there are places in this luxury world where you're not necessarily getting duped. There's some actually quality and craftsmanship behind it, and I think ultimately that's what people should be seeking if this is the game they want to play, so to speak, and not get suckered.
Rattle off that, because I think you named a couple that were good. Like, what are probably the biggest brands that are actually cheaply made shit that masquerade as like luxury?
So, like Louis Vuitton is like everybody obsesses about their bags. The thing is, those aren't really made in Italy. Those are made in like China, or they're made maybe in like another part of the world. And that's the thing. The European laws, as long as like the final piece, like they just literally put the
Like
the
we talked about in the
LV
last
logo.
podcast about the Made in America. It's the same thing for this shit.
Well,
Exactly. Yeah. As long as they do that last piece, then the European Union is like, oh yeah, you can say this is made in Italy, right? So I'd say they're one of the biggest players. You got Prada, you got Gucci, like any of these huge brands. Like this is the game they're playing, and the markup is just absolutely astounding. Not that I'm not a capitalist, not that I don't love a huge markup, but what really opened my eyes was during COVID, you could see, what people were doing with these checks. And we'll just say, like, there was lines outside of these buildings, and there's people that shouldn't necessarily have been going in there. They thought they were buying status, and all they were doing, why are they buying the status? They're trying to, like, raise their, like, self-esteem. And then ultimately, I think, like, it's just, there's a trick being played. And
that's the thing, is I think it's two conversations, and I think you mentioned this when we're starting. One, it bugs me when, like, these so-called luxury brands, they're making crap in the same low-quality sweatshops in Southeast Asia that everyone else is, and they're marking it up a million times over.
Like our iPhones.
Yeah, it's all the same bullshit. But then it's also too, it's the buyer psychology. Like I think there's something broken in people that they feel like they need a brand to have like social status, and that's a completely different conversation. And because not every luxury brand, like you kind of mentioned, there was one or two that you mentioned, they actually are a high-quality products. You can't lump them all together, but on the social psychology side, there's this whatever weird need people feel like they need to be seen by how much they can buy when they can't even afford it. But anyway.
Well, I think that's key. Price becomes the product when we think about it. Like, price isn't just the reflection of the value. It's like price creates, like, value in that person's mind. Like, so the more that they spend on something, regardless, I feel like people would buy complete pieces of shit from a quality standpoint if it was more expensive and they could wear it around. And I also think that we all have kind of a different version of what luxury is. Like, John, you're talking about like products that it's just not in my world. And I can appreciate like luxury, but a lot of times, like, luxury doesn't have to mean like that stuff that you laid out, right? And
okay, we can define it though, right? So
yeah, but everyone has their version of it. Like for some people, it is that like that Hermes bag, right? For others, it's like Viore or Equinox or Apple, like an iPhone or like a nice coffee habit. Like they spend extra and go to like a bougie coffee place or whatever that is. Like so. I find myself, like, as I'm going through and I'm doing research, I'm thinking about this episode, like falling into that because I have like a ton of Viore clothes. The Viore is not considered luxury per se, but I have a ton of Viore clothes.
Dude, it's luxury if you compare that. You could buy the same thing at like a Target or a Walmart.
Well, that's it. I'm wearing right now Costco like joggers that are the most comfortable pants that I have. Yeah, but they're great. I love them. But I also have like 6 pairs of Viore leggings upstairs that cost me like $700, $800 for them. And it's just like, I did it because, one, they're comfortable, but two, because I just like the Viore logo. I like the Viore clothing brand. But it's definitely more expensive than other stuff that I bought in the past, like this Costco.
No, and I was totally joking. I think it's awesome that you bought this from Costco.
Don't shit on me, John. Costco's a great place on Sunday afternoons to visit.
It actually is my favorite. Costco's one of my favorite places in the world. Anyways,
but I mean, all right. So let's go ahead and define it, right? So I think when it comes to luxury, there's the actual quality. That to me is one of the most important things, right? So like materials, durability, like you're talking about Viore. You have the engineering, the construction of those things, and hopefully it lasts. Dude, like Lululemon's original stuff, like, dude, that stuff used to last forever. And somewhere along the line, they lost that, right? And then you have like the heritage and the story, right? So
this is actually a Lululemon shirt from 10 years ago. Like
exactly, dude.
10 years ago,
right?
It's still good and it's
totally
better. I was a huge fan of Lululemon like in the early to mid 2010s because their shit was legitimately really good, and the stuff I bought then still lasts. And then I kept buying more stuff, and it all fell apart or it wasn't as good quality. So like the only stuff I have remaining from them is the stuff I have that's like the oldest. Anyway,
same, dude. They had like a 5-year shirt that I still have. Like it's I don't know. It's probably going on 10 years. Right. So then like you have heritage and story, right? So there's a brand story that's attached to it. That's something that that people want to attach themselves. And then you also have like the status and like the signaling. And I think that's kind of what, James, you were talking about as it relates to people just, trying to make them feel better, the psychological too. What's wild, though, is when luxury brands, they'll take essentially the first two and they start getting away from those, and then they just amp up the last one, and that's when they're just essentially ripping everybody off. And that's where I get most pissed, when there's just a complete lack of quality.
But you still buy.
But here's the thing. I buy based on the quality of it. Some of these brands, as I mentioned, like they'll have the quality. Or if like it's, like a watch or something, like, all right, is it going to hold its value? There's a little bit of gamble there, but I don't buy any new watches. I would buy a used watch.
The stuff you buy that lasts forever, like, can you really call it overpriced? You know what I mean? If you have something that can last a watch that lasts your entire life, like, yeah, it's expensive, but if it's a
cost to wear ratio. That's another thing. Somebody like, hey, I'm thinking about this. Like, all right, what's going to be your cost to wear ratio? If it's $1,000, pair of shoes, and you're going to have it for 20 years, right? Then okay, like then that's going to make sense. If it's like $1,000, you can't get it resold, then dude, that's going to be a waste of money.
Yeah, to me, I think a lot of this, and again, I fall victim to it. We all do. Is it works so well because it taps into like identity. Like, it's not about like utility at the end of the day. It's about how like we see ourselves and how like other people see us. And that's, James, ties back to the psychology. That's why we're buying these clothes. That's why I'm not spending $10 on a pair of pants. I'm spending $110 on a pair of pants. In call that what you want, like call it like shallow, whatever. But that's, I think, where people's natural mindset just goes to on this stuff.
I think endless supply of Chuck Taylors, as you guys know.
Yeah, dude. Every time I look, I was like, cream?
You're Chuck Taylor.
I have every color imaginable. No, because my wife had worked for. We have a permanent lifetime discount for Nike, which owns Converse, and Converse were cheap to begin with, and I just like them. So it's just like anytime because I get them like half off, and they're So that's pretty much all I wear. I'm probably the worst person from the clothing side to have this conversation with, but anyways, I have a lot of things I do find relevant in my personal life for this, and I made a list which I shared with you guys, and Jared, you front run a couple of them here, but like fitness, the Equinoxes of the world, the high-end gyms. I remember when my first gym I went to in Chicago, this was a long time ago, mind you, but I remember going to the YMCA and paying like $45 a month, and guess what? I got the same workout I get now paying 4 times that, because every gym you go to is astronomically priced, but there's still those like quote-unquote high-end gyms that charge you even more, which is nuts.
What do you pay right now for your gym? Hold on. What do you pay right now? What I pay for my gym, they keep jacking the rates, and I'm just
$125 right now.
Wow, dude.
I'm $250.
Whoa.
Right. Wow.
Dude, wow. But I work from there. I can justify because I work from there all the time.
Yeah, like bleach your butthole.
Dude, it's a lot, but it's...
You said wow to both of us. I couldn't tell if it was a high or a low wow.
So here's the thing. Like, John so my friend... I use my friends, like it's almost like a private gym. He lives in a very small condo complex with a decent gym. It's right down the street, and it's free. So he just gives me access to, and no one's ever in there. So it's like having my own private gym. I've been spoiled.
Well, here's the thing: is that I like being around other people. I couldn't go work out by myself. I like taking classes.
Hey, you guys want tickets to the gun show?
Jesus. Yeah, I like this gym. I like the classes. I like not having to think when I go in there, and they just tell me what to do and feel good, and then I can go work from there. And it's kind of like it feels like a club.
Let's do this, bro.
It's just a gym.
Just go to a cheaper gym. Just call me up, and I'll tell you what to do.
All right, shut up, John. James, next example.
Bottled water. Most people don't realize that like the quality of water out of the tap in most places. Well, first, most places like in Europe, you don't need bottled water because like their tap water is actually cleaner. Like in the U.S., most places actually have cleaner, better regulations around their water quality than what you buy in a bottle anyway.
Yeah, like Flint.
Flint's actually been cleaned up. I think it's like 6 years.
That's what I'm saying. Like their regulations have to be pretty strict now,
Yeah, it's like everyone still thinks Flint has this terrible water supply. It's actually it's a tangent, but like there's people still don't trust the government that it's clean, but it actually by every standard is.
Which if you were in Flint, would you pull yourself a nice glass of tap water? Or would you think twice about it?
That's a great question.
I would, if I were legitimately, I would probably do my own test on it. You know what I mean? The first time, if I just moved there, just to verify, because
there's some child outside just licking the window.
The problem with Flint wasn't just the water quality; it was the fact the government lied to them about the water quality when it was bad. So that's like a different. Like I understand the distrust of it, but I think people outside of Flint who still think like they have the worst water quality in the world, like it's actually been fixed.
Did I ever tell you when I was watching the news in New Orleans? This is a little bit off topic, but that's my design. So I'm watching the news. Just woke up. Just got to New Orleans. It's the first time I'm there, and we put on the news, and it's the mayor of New Orleans. They just received the prestigious award for homicide capital of the United States. Right, and it's the mayor. She's like having a press conference in a podium, in the center of New Orleans or whatnot. And she said, "Everybody just needs to calm down." She's like, "They're killing each other. They're not killing tourists." Dude, that was the best soundbite I'd ever heard. I was like, "All right, yeah, you see, we're safe."
Oh my God. I don't even know how you tied that back to what we were just talking about.
I don't know either, but anyone who talked about, I love New Orleans. It's the best food scene in the entire country. I can't wait the next trip.
It's a great food scene. Yeah.
Any kind of labels on food, there's so many that are just bullshit that people like just fake prestige. Like even though organic is a bit hazy in what that actually means, but like all natural means nothing, clean means nothing. Artisanal means nothing. Small batch means nothing. Like these are all terms you kind of see on this kind of stuff. You could rattle them off, but
we're speaking of food, caviar. Like,
is that your favorite?
Well, no. I mean, I like caviar. Yeah, have you guys ever had caviar? But I mean, it for me. Maybe I just don't have a refined palate, or just trash. But I can't tell the difference between like really cheap caviar and like the highest end stuff that I've ever had. Like it's not like this huge gulf or a vast difference.
It's also like wine.
I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and slowly exit.
The whole wine industry is bullshit like that. Like there's so much of it is just markup marketing. Like it doesn't cost any more to make an expensive bottle than a cheap bottle.
Right.
It's all marketing. One of my friends, this is his biggest pet peeve because he's an audiophile. Beats by Dre, the headphones. They're actually like a shit tier headphone. They're like not even good quality. Like ask anybody who's really into audio, they are very mediocre headphones, but they're like a status symbol to wear them around ever since like Apple bought them. But people who get them think
like ripping them off people's heads.
Did you guys?
You don't even know.
Yeah,
I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. Did you guys see the Defiant Ones on HBO? One of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
Yet.
What's it about?
You told me to.
It's incredible.
I need to though.
It's the story about Jimmy Levine, who is one of the top music producers of all time. He had like the Stones, Fleetwood Mac, like all these like massive Tom Petty, all these massive like musicians that he managed and was in charge of. And then so Defiant Ones talks about his story, but it also talks about Dr. Dre's story on one side. So it talks about Dr. Dre's background and his upbringing and his story, and they have like these. They keep telling both sides of the stories, and then they merge to where Dre and Levine got together and built out Beats and had a baby, and they built out the Beats by Dre, and they sold it to Apple for billions of dollars, whatever that is, and just the story and the footage. Like I never before seen back end footage of all these guys like story. It's just absolutely insane, and I think it's like a 5 or 6 part series. It's got like anybody like Eminem.
It was
how they came together to sell Beats.
I was gonna say, dude, there you go. It's literally. Jared, we were just talking about.
Jared watches documentary. He goes out buys some Beats headphones.
I didn't buy them. I have what are these? These are not Beats.
Those are Bose. Those look like Bose.
These are Bose, but. It's a really good documentary to hear like back end stories and like see the actual footage of a lot of the stuff that was going on over the years. Anyway,
all right, I can go off on my biggest pet peeve: iPhones, Apple in general.
All right, let's do it. Let's get into it.
I have a list here, guys. I have a list. So what annoys the fuck out of me about people is everyone who thinks like
this is
Apple,
becoming a venting session.
Anyone who thinks Apple's like cutting edge in what they do. Here's a list of how late they were to the game on all the major features they brought out. RCS messaging. Android had that in 2012. iPhone didn't have that until 2024. The USB-C cord, that fucking ridiculous cord extension or plug-in that iPhone had. Yeah. Android had that in 2015. iPhone not till 2023. Customizing your fucking home screen. Android always had that. Apple didn't get that till like 2024. Photo object removal. Android had that in 2021. iPhone not till 2024. Zoom cameras, 2019 for Android, 2022.
Well, no, it does, and it's a really good point
sensors, 2011 versus 2013. I mean, it's wireless charging. They had it 5 years before them.
Can I jump in?
Your own apps have it before them.
No, actually, he's not done. He's not even halfway. Leave him alone, John. Let him
Here's my point. Here's my point. The only thing that Apple invented was a fucking press conference to tell everyone how innovative they are every time they release a new feature that every other phone company's already had.
But this is Apple isn't about first. Apple is about better.
Ooh. James, take that, swallow it.
Get the fuck out.
I've had both. I've had both phones. I've had an Android, and I
swung both
hated
ways on
the
this
user.
one, boys.
I did. I swung both ways. I dipped my beak in both ponds, and I hated the user experience with one, and I loved the user experience with the other. And that was mine.
That was mine. I was like I went from BlackBerry to iPhone, and then I had to get an Android in a trip in Europe, and I was like, what is going on here? Like I was so lost.
Legitimately, I mean, there's a difference between
and I was hacked and then raped in an alley, and I don't want to talk about
it. I think Samsung, which has their own
James. Hold on a second.
Jared.
John, repeat that what you just said so we can get a good clean clip for it. Come on, buddy. We're here for you.
I said, well, then I was hacked and then raped in an alley, and it all I blame it on Android.
Yeah. Okay. Good clip. All right, James.
You're going to have to cut that one out of the
we're going to have to cut that out.
So thank you. I don't know. I don't know if I have anything else on this whole topic. Like that
was a lot.
No, the other one. Okay, no. Here's
I got another one.
I
got something to bring up.
I got one. Let me do my last one here. Actually, two more. One of the one's a joke. Fucking tasting menus and experiential dining. I hate it when I show up to a place and they you have to you're going to need 17 appetizers and 15 mains for each person, and then they give you charge you $35 for 3 pieces of rigatoni or something like that.
Do they give you that 30-minute story before they get into this?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, I hate that. I'm like, dude, just get to the food. I didn't come here full. I came here hungry.
It's like the modern dining has just taken such a turn in terms of how much they charge you more money for less food and con you into it because they have, I don't know, they're in the fucking Chicago Eater magazine or something like that. Like it's supposed to be the greatest thing ever. I don't know. But I feel like this is a relatively newish thing. Like when I first moved to Chicago in a big city that has a million of these places, it didn't exist. It's just like the latest maybe it's the only way these restaurants can stay in business. Maybe the margins are just gotten so shitty and the rent's gotten so high, but it drives me fucking crazy.
Shout out to Big Bad Wolf and that, or Little Bad Wolf and that burger there, though, dude. I miss that in Chicago. God, I love that burger.
This has really turned into a pet peeve episode, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think every episode kind of does. Yeah.
It's literally the basis of
I was.
I just figured this out. 32 episodes in.
I was going to tie it back to the B2B space. So I know we're talking about more B2C.
Pray tell.
But the B2B side is, I think this does exist in the B2B space as well, where you've got, we're John, you and I are in the agency world. Think about the way that companies evaluate working with certain agencies or certain vendors. One, if we have two, let's say one is scrappy, sharp, actually going to do the work, like a good company, and they don't charge as much as the polished, larger agency or larger company that have a bunch of big name clients that charge more. What's the saying? You're never going to get hired, or you're never going to get fired for hiring
IBM.
IBM, right? And that's what it is. And it's kind of like they look at that as the luxury versus these up and coming, smaller, not as expensive brands. So that's my initial plant on the B2B thing.
I can directly say that as well too, Jerry. With back when I was recruiting, when HireWell started doing executive recruiting, when we started doing a lot of it, you know what I mean, or trying to do a lot of it at first, our biggest problem was that initially we weren't charging enough because people, when they saw we were coming in a lower price than the larger shops, they thought we're not as good. You'd be charging me. That's how people think. They expect to spend a lot of money on executive search. So we started winning more deals and we started charging more, which is fucking idiotic, but that's just buyer's mentality when it comes to that stuff.
We're talking about a few different things here too. It's definitely that, but then also working with against other agencies, it comes down to the risk, right? Mm-hmm. It's the reason that IBM thing comes down. It's less risky to hire them, right? Oh, things went wrong, and you have some fucking loser. Well, we got IBM. I hate that type of mentality, but in that. I think I experienced this early on when we were taking on projects and we were going up against other people. One of the things I would love to do is get their proposals. And I still do that, man. I got buddies or businesses that are getting pitched. I'm like, hey, man, record it, send it to me. And they still do it. I like to see how other people are selling and whatnot. And then what I realize is now we've come into this stage, and we've been here for a while, where we think about all of these different things that the smaller agencies aren't, and definitely the bigger agencies are. And that to me is the most important thing, because if we cover all of those bases, we're removing as much of that risk as possible.
Yeah. I mean, putting it up front and making sure you eliminate that, at least change the mindset.
And that's how we became a luxury.
Oh God, it is funny though. Like, I've literally seen companies spend like 5-6 figures on fucking strategy decks that never get implemented, while passing on like operators who would have actually driven results and done all the work for a fraction of the cost that they spent on these strategy decks. It's I don't know. It's
not the space I worked in, but I used to do a podcast with my good buddies, Nate Guja, who used to work in the employer brand space, and it drove him crazy. Like the amount of company, like the classic companies, and they would charge 6 figures for an employer value proposition, which is basically 3 sentences to what your company's about and why it should be important to anyone who wants to work there. Which is the most fucking they do all this research and they talk to people and they'd spit out, something that ChatGPT would just give you in 2 seconds now. But the whole industry was a fucking con, convincing people that you have to have this if you want to take like employee culture seriously. It's a cornerstone of who you are. It's just like, we did a couple episodes on that back in the day, but same thing. It's like these companies have created this bullshit perceived value when it's, you guys have worked enough places to know no one cares about that kind of shit. Employees don't care about like what platitudes you say your company's about. They actually care about what it's like working there, which
anyway. Yeah. Every person we hire, we plant a tree. We're like, okay, all right, yeah. Okay.
I wanted to mention before, I don't know if you guys have much more on this topic, I want to come back to luxury, remind everyone listening out there, Coco Chanel was a Nazi sympathizer who actually supplied intel to the Nazi in World War II.
That's a good one, yeah.
So just if you buy Chanel, just remember who you're buying, the descendants of the family tree there, where they came from, how the company got started.
Yeah, okay.
John, do you have any Chanel? When was the last time you bought Chanel? Don't lie.
I think I've purchased that for others. I don't think I have any Chanel. Like, I'd say when it comes to like independent brands, I'd say Cucinelli is probably one of the ones I would steer people towards. And then I can't remember. I think Prada. I think Prada Group might be on their own, or they owned by one of the others. But dude, I love this shit. I mean, granted, but it's about the quality. I like nice shit.
Is this episode going to be a mirror for you? Like, this is like, I just need to get this out and like put a mirror in front of myself and stop buying and spending money on all this garbage shit.
No, but like we didn't talk about like Birkin bags, right? There's all these morons out there that think that are obsessed with getting a Birkin bag, and some of them have them like $30,000, $40,000, $1,000 purses, right? So Hermes plays this game that you have to spend so much and like really have a relationship with your sales rep to even get access to buy this bag. Mm-hmm. It's the best marketing and sales with no chasm between it. It's like, wow, it's such brilliance, right? And if you go into the story, you can actually look up where the Birkin bag came from. It's also, too, it reminds me of like Austin Powers. She was like a model in like the 50s or 60s. She's got kind of like some teeth that are, like, yeah, she's a little bit of a haggard, smoker's teeth, never saw braces. Still a beautiful woman. I think her name was like Jane Birkin or something. Anyway, one of the Hermes, I think it was like one of the family members or one of the designers at the time, he literally like sketched her up a bag because she was complaining about it, and he like, made her this bag. And people think that it's this like luxury, and maybe it's even in that show with John Hamm where they're like ripping people off. They like, they chain these things up and all that.
About that bag in that show.
Okay, yeah. So if you actually see the utility of that bag, it's really got gnarly construction. It was made to take it. It's like something that Carhartt would have designed. Like, to me, that's cool. That's quality, right? So you have that, and you're going to use that for the rest of your life. Your use to wear ratio is going to make sense. But when you like chain it up in a room and you just have it as a status symbol because you want to go ahead and do it, like that's where I look at something and be like, that's silly to me. That's stupid. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, And I'm trying to think of another example here. Yeah, I lost it. Fuck.
That show is, what's the name of the show again?
Show.
Is
Your Friends and Neighbors.
It's season two. Season two is coming out soon.
So did you know all the? So John, I have to ask, when they went through the watches he was stealing in the show, did you know what all those watches were?
Yeah.
Like, were you like, I know. I had to Google
every single one of them. Yeah.
So it's a great show. If you haven't seen it, you'll know the meme
show.
that's been out there of him, like when he's kind of high dancing in the nightclub or something like that. That's been everywhere.
Yeah.
But I thought it was some of the best satire. His character is self-aware of what a self-absorbed materialistic asshole is, which is the best part. So
yeah, but it's all of this comes down to, for that, on that show especially, it's just keeping up with the Joneses. Like it's just, if one person gets it, exactly. Yeah. If one person gets it, like I got to get that too. And it's just, and if you don't, you're not keeping up. And I feel that's probably where a lot of this episode ultimately came from. When we talk about luxury, it all stems from that mindset of having to keep up with whatever anybody else in your influence circle is doing. And
to me, you have these other status things. Like one of the wealthiest guys I know buys his clothes from thrift stores, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's completely up above it and doesn't need it. Or you even had that Dave Chappelle thing when he was talking about Kanye and if you're a billionaire, it's like you don't wear your chain on the outside, you wear it on the inside. It's like, oh man, like he said, everybody's like tucking it in, right? Or they have certain watches that are stealth wealth. It's white gold, but it looks like stainless steel, right? So somebody's like, oh, that's nice. So it's this whole other tier that exists. But at the end of the day, I think, why are people doing this? It's self-esteem, right? They want to push some people down mentally, raise themselves up based on the things that they have. And that's just a short-lived thing. And if anybody takes anything away from this, I think there's two things you can take away. One, don't be a sucker. Buy high-quality things, right? And number two, be a really good marketer and, and figure out how to sell better. Because all of these companies are perfect examples.
That's all you got to do. It's free. You close more deals and you get more margin. It's as simple as that. Just charge more. Yeah.
Luxury.
Anyways. That is a wrap for episode 32 of the Business Is Bullshit podcast. Catch us on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. James Hornick, Jared Gibson, John Siraka signing off, reminding you that business is bullshit.
It certainly is.